In the meantime, the league itself made news yesterday by announcing, well, several significant changes, which will begin next season and also come in 2027 as well. And to explain all, we welcome to the show proud Ottawa resident, former TSN boss, now the commissioner of the Canadian Football League. We say hello and good morning on the Gabriel Pizza Hotline to Stu Johnston. How you doing this morning, Stu?
Hey, I'm doing great, thanks. How about you folks?
Excellent, thanks. Appreciate the time as always. I just wonder, before we get to the nuts and bolts of yesterday, did you ever consider, you and the Board of Governors consider another rule tweak of allowing the team that's last in the CFL to have a wild card entry into the playoffs? Was that ever up for consideration?
I got to say that is bouncing around the halls of the league, so I'll get back to you on if that has any progress.
Okay, because you're an Ottawa guy, so I thought maybe you could curry some favor here in the market.
I have no favorite teams.
Okay.
Before we actually get into that nuts and bolts, I got to ask you a logistical question, Stuart. How did you keep a lid on this? There were no leaks about everybody speculating about, and there was some over speculation, as I'm sure you're well aware of. So how did you keep a lid on this?
Well, thank you. I'm glad that hasn't gone unnoticed because I'm not sure our league is known for discretion. And this was really important to us because when you're talking about some very significant changes, you want to make sure that you're thinking them through without the noise that we've seen over the last 48 hours kind of creeping right in while you're making those decisions. And a credit to the board and a credit to the folks who were involved. Everyone understood the nature of confidentiality as we have these conversations. And frankly, when I watched some of the speculation between Sunday and yesterday, I think my favorite guess was that all 9 teams would be renamed the Rough Riders.
That would be outstanding.
Well played.
Would have been great. All right. So you've been on the job as CFL Commissioner since April, but of course in running TSN for several years. We've had the rights to the television games for a long, long time. When for you personally, when did you start looking at the product and saying we need to change it?
Well, I think all of us have. I think the league has. I think broadcast partners have. I'm sure commercial partners have, and fans have. It's something that I think we should always be doing, and we can't be afraid. We can't be afraid of thinking what is it that can improve the play, improve our fandom, improve the entertainment value as we try and win this fight in the attention economy that we play in. So for me, I've had some thoughts and discussions with the league over a number of years. I've seen them make great changes before I arrived here, including something that seems so simple, but it's moving the hash marks in. That was a really, what seems like maybe a small change, but a very effective one that actually brought one side of the field back into play. And so these are the types of things I like that we're thinking about. And some of these changes, I made a comment in the press conference, the goalposts I've been thinking about, well, since the late 80s, I would suggest. It's been percolating with me for a while.
To that issue, if you were kind of do a pie chart on it, moving the goalposts to the back of the end zone and taking them off the goal line, safety issue, performance issue, anything else here? Like when you spoke about this and to all your stakeholders, like, give us maybe the main reasoning to move it back.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to start with touchdowns. We've looked at the data right now. This season's data up till and through Labor Day weekend games, passes into the end zone on the left third of the end zone and the right third of the end zone make up 80% of all attempts. Only 20% are in the middle. And simply there is an obstruction there. And this will not only open up what I would suggest is some of the most important area of our turf, but also create an ability or maybe remove an ability for some offenses to run picks, which they have been known to do. So from a player safety standpoint, either the offense or the defensive player no longer has to contend with that. We don't have a lot of folks run into the goalpost, but I'm quite sure it's in their minds and it's affecting their play. Another reason is when teams start deep in their own end, on their, let's say they've had a goal line stand, they're starting on their 1 yard line. They are severely limited in their playbook because the goalpost is right at their backs. It prevents, or at least it impedes a quarterback from rolling out in that direction, running backs to that direction, and then you get to punting. Punting deep in your end zone, you're affected by the goalposts. And then finally, I would suggest presentation. We have a massive obstruction in the way of the visual of some of the biggest highlight-worthy plays our league provides. Big touchdown catches or interceptions in the touchdown, and we often have to navigate the view through an obstruction. And so I think this will just clean up the surface. It makes it safer. It's going to increase touchdowns. And I think all of us are going to be more entertained.
More touchdowns and fewer field goals, I think, is the goal for everybody if you're in the football entertainment business, to be sure. Shrinking the size of the end zones from 20 yards to 15. Like, I just think of it and I think, well, the bigger it is, the greater the chance the offense can succeed. What is the thinking behind actually why scoring might increase with a smaller end zone?
Well, we want to keep kicking in the game. I agree with you. Essentially, we are trading field goals for touchdowns, and that's a trade I think most would be very comfortable with. But I certainly don't want to eliminate field goals. And we ran the data. We thought bringing it in 5 yards obviously brings them closer for field goal range. And we think that size end zone is still significant. If you think about it, it's 15 yards by 65. And I know there's been a lot of chatter about, hey, it's standardizing to an American style field. I don't see that at all. 15 yards by 65 is so much bigger than 10 yards by 53, which is what they play in the NFL. It's a massive, massive end zone.
I would say that the size of the field in general, by keeping the width as well, Stuart, is if you want to keep it very different from NFL football, like the returns that we've seen over the years, the throwing to the boundary. Like I'm going a bit of a tangent here. When you see a quarterback learning the Canadian game, an American that comes up, I kind of chuckle the first time they think, well, I got all the time in the world to get the ball way over there, and it gets picked off. You don't understand how the width of the field is a huge factor in the Canadian game.
It certainly is, and we were very, very cognizant not to touch that. It was never a consideration to touch that. That is a staple of our game, and obviously accommodates a 12th player, which is also a key difference. So, when I think about our field and how wide and how long with 15-yard end zones it's going to be, I don't see it as a similarity at all.
Stu Johnson, the commissioner of the CFL, is our guest. The size of the field will also shrink by 10 yards. What is the reasoning and the thinking behind that?
So a little bit more on field goal kicking to start. So if you think about it, goalposts move back 15 yards, but 10 yards have been taken out of the middle. So if you start a drive on your own side of the field, essentially now you are 5 yards further away from field goal position, but you are 10 yards closer to a touchdown. Again, we think that these are important decisions. It increases the decision zone. So when you get in from past the 50 to the kind of 35-yard line, when you get into that area where coaches are really going to have to consider, am I going to kick a field goal on 3rd and 2, or should I think about an angled punt, or should I just go for it? And that, along with the change we made to the Rouge, I think is going to create some exciting plays of consequence.
That was going to be my follow-up. How close did you and everybody else making these decisions come to totally eliminating the Rouge because you went with the tweak instead?
We did not come close to that. This is exactly what we tabled as a consideration, worked through it from our end, and we liked where we landed. So it was never a consideration to eliminate it. I gave a lot of reasons why we focused on that and made those changes. We are increasing the entertainment. I think it's going to absolutely encourage more aggressive third down play calling. Obviously, we've eliminated something that the league faces some ridicule for, which is points for missed field goals or perhaps a game won with a punt. And so we felt this is now an active play. It's a returner making a decision. Do I take a knee and take the yards, or do I try and fight my way out and potentially get tackled and still give up a rouge, or get out of the end zone? It's an active play now.
35-second clock will begin as soon as the previous play is whistled dead. You kind of went into a little reasoning with David Naylor yesterday as to why you think that's important. So maybe you can enlighten our listeners on that.
Well, I think it starts with consistency. Right now, I think many of your listeners know that the way the play clock works in the CFL is we have a 20-second play clock, but it does not start until the referee blows it in, and the referee blows it in at once the ball is set, the chains have moved if it's a first down, once substitutions have come in and off, and they see that the teams are sort of ready to go, and that averages honestly around 15 seconds. So 15 seconds plus the 20, you're at 35 already. Mm-hmm. However, sometimes it's 20 seconds before they blow in the 20-second clock. Sometimes it's 25 seconds before they blow in the 20-second clock. And that's a lot of inconsistency. It's inconsistency for coaches and players and fans and broadcasters. So this really is just getting a nice, consistent game flow. And we do think it will increase some urgency as everyone understands that's the amount of time I've got. I can't sort of depend on a ref maybe delaying a blow-in of the play clock.
So just for clarity, there's a difference between the game clock and the play clock. Will the referee still blow in the game clock when you're starting a play? Because the follow-up to this train of thought, Stuart, is I love the way CFL games finish. We have the comebacks because you've got time, the way the rhythm of the clock moves that way. You have to play football to the end of the game. You got to make a play. You got to snap the ball and make a play. You can't just take a knee and run out the clock. So maybe tell us the difference between play and game clock, and one's automatic, but do the officials still blow in the actual game clock?
Well, I think your question might be very specific to the last 3 minutes of a half for the game, as opposed to the rest of the time where really the game clock just runs, right? So in the last 3 minutes, I'm deferring my answer. I'm deferring not because I'm trying to deflect. There's a group of coaches, GMs, presidents, and Players Association representatives that I want to get together to talk through how we are going to find a balance in our last 3 minutes to support something I also love, and I think many fans love, which is the ability for teams to come back, for the ability to say, you know what, I'm down a score, maybe I'm even down 2 scores, and I still have a chance to drive the field. So we want to support that and continue that. At the same time, I also want to create a little more urgency, and that's what we at the league office have been thinking about, is how do we create more urgency on those final 3 minutes? An example I use is just this past weekend, Hamilton drove down the field and got a last-second field goal to beat the Elks. When Hamilton got the ball, there was a minute 12 on the clock, and it took 11 minutes for them to go down the field and kick that field goal. That is exciting because they came back and got a last-second field goal, but it's also not super entertaining to take 11 minutes to run 1 minute of play clock, if you know what I mean. So we're trying to find a balance between those two things.
Last one from me here. So U Sports and other levels of Canadian football here, maybe take us through how you're going to be looking at that. Now that's up to those different levels here, if they're going to fall in line with these new rules, because it can be expensive, to change where you're going to put your goalposts and your field configuration. So maybe talk us through that and where that stands.
So I had great conversations with the leadership at U Sport and at Football Canada took them through what we were planning, and wanted to give them a one-on-one conversation in advance of me announcing to the world, and walk them through the reasons why, many of which you and I have just talked about right now. Really positive reception to understanding why we were doing things. And my as you said, my point to them was, this is obviously your decision. We are here to collaborate. We are here to support where we can, answer any questions, work on things together where we do work together. And ultimately, of course, it will be up to the amateur bodies whether they want to make any of these changes. But it's a significant decision. It's part of the reason why we aren't doing it until 2027. It gives everyone some time to digest this, including our own clubs who are working in our own stadiums on goalpost footings and turf and so forth. It gives everyone some time to kind of plan for these changes.
I can only speak for myself. Baseball lost me for a lot of years, in part because it was so slow. And a couple of years ago when they started with the pitch clock, I've become a baseball fan again. I enjoy watching the game like I haven't in probably 25 or 30 years. Is your hope that what you have announced yesterday, as it comes in to actual action in the next couple of years, will bring, old fans back again, new fans to it? Is there other stuff that you guys have put aside that maybe if this kind of gets you halfway there, that you've still got other things you can add to make the Canadian Football League more entertaining and bring more people into the tent, as it were?
Well, I do believe these changes will not create, it's actually going to expose a more entertaining style of football. It'll expose our game. We're talking about the canvas upon which our players play. And I think this is now opening it up in a way that's going to help drive to really exciting, highlight-worthy plays. I think our current amazing fan base are going to love seeing touchdowns. I think that new fans will see touchdown highlights more often on social media. And I do think that anyone who's maybe left the game, maybe they do get attracted back. However, this is just one step in our vision of making us an incredibly important, relevant, professional league in North America. And while I am not focused on any more significant rule changes or infrastructure changes, we are looking at all other aspects of our game and looking for ways to drive entertainment, drive innovation, grow the game of football, all which we believe is very achievable to make us a success.
Really quick before you go, so in anything in life, when you make changes, you're not going to get consensus. Some people are going to disagree. To that end, I'm sure you've seen the comments from Nathan Rourke. Have you reached out to him? Will you reach out to him to have a conversation?
Yes, I have, and Nathan Rourke is one of the top superstars in our league. I think I have so much respect for him. He's an important voice in our league. I say that personally. I loved when he was here in his first stint in the CFL, and then when he went and tried for the NFL, everything in me was cheering for him to have that opportunity to show what he could do, because we'd all seen it, and I knew he could be a success there as well. And then, of course, I love having him back in our league, having a historic career year like he is. So I would very much look forward to talking with him, and plans are beginning in place to make that happen.
All right, good stuff. Appreciate you making some time for us to explain the rationale behind the changes made for 2026 and 2027. Thanks for the time.
My pleasure.